Welcome to Navigating Texas Workforce Commission for Musicians, an interactive panel discussion. Fridays at 1 p.m. Brought to you by the Austin Federation of Musicians and with the Unemployment Compensation Advisory Committee. The Unemployment Compensation Advisory Committee are members of the Austin Federation of Musicians, Local 433 of the American Federation of Musicians, aka the Musicians Union. Some of us work as contractor 1099 workers, and others work as employee W-2 workers in various aspects of the music industry.
The goal of this session is to share our experiences, including trials and tribulations related to the Texas Workforce Commission, or TWC, with other musicians in the state of Texas to aid in navigating the TWC application process. We are not experts in unemployment assistance. We are musicians.
The information contained herein does not constitute either legal advice or an official pronouncement or a position of the Austin Federation of Musicians, but rather is only the personal opinions of the panelists. The panelists do not give legal advice or make official rulings on agency matters, should not be cited as authorities in any matter before the agency or when dealing with agency staff about a case, and must minimize their involvement with administrative processes. They also do not give legal advice on any other matter, and any information they should give should not be used as a basis for taking any employment-related action. Before taking any employment action that could adversely affect an employee, or before using any sample form or policy you may obtain from this group, you should consult a licensed private sector employment law attorney of your choice. All right, welcome back. This is Navigating Texas Workforce Commission for Musicians for February 19th, 2021, the post-Blizzard edition. Mark is joining me here. Hello, Mark. You
Howdy.
still look pretty bundled up. What temperature do you have over there?
Oh, it's now that my power's back on, everything's nice and cozy here.
Excellent. Good to hear.
Yeah.
Yeah. Same thing here. We've had pretty good power since I guess yesterday, as far as consistency, and the water's starting to come back. They're talking about gas outages. I haven't experienced that yet.
No.
Just a rough week here in Texas. Holy cow. Yeah. Well, we always start with our links about unemployment, because that's kind of the focus of this discussion usually. And of course, you always want to go to twc.texas.gov to hear the most accurate stuff. Texas Workforce Commission also has their Facebook page where they do updates and post things. And of course, we have our Local 433 Musicians Unemployment Information Sharing page on Facebook, where our local union posts things that are most relevant about unemployment, and our COVID-19 resources page on the website. And of course, more important than ever before, it seems like, the Who Represents Me website is always on our list as well. That's wrm.capitol.texas.gov, and that's where you can find out who your representatives are in all this. And yeah, wow, it seems like every week that's more important to find out who's making these decisions. Yeah, wow. But we always start with beverages. I hope you have something to drink there, Mark. I've got coffee as usual. What do you got?
Good old green tea, keeping me warm.
Yes, indeed. And it's hot? That was my next question. That's good
Yeah.
too.
Yeah.
Oh man. Goodness gracious. Well, we'll probably have kind of a short session today. We don't have tons of news, but the really big news I wanted to make sure that we started with is the news from the Workforce Commission that they're waiving work search requirements this week and next week. You don't have to do work search requirements, and they're waiving the waiting week again for people who are starting unemployment, which that could be relevant. I mean, there's going to be businesses that are having to shut down because of the damage caused by this thing. So there may be more people jumping on there. I'll put the link to the Statesman article about this in the show notes at the bottom. But it doesn't mention, and of course a lot of places don't mention, that was brought about by the AFL-CIO, the Texas AFL-CIO, and the Texas AFL-CIO president, Rick Levy, made a statement, I think on Monday or Tuesday, and there was a lot of pressure put on the TWC by the Texas AFL-CIO to do those two things, because the work search requirements are not fair when there's a blizzard, when there's no power, and that was part of the argument before when they reinstated those requirements, was that people could do this on the internet. You could do the work search on the internet. Of course, that's not possible when there's no power, and people aren't able to go home and everything else. So once again, the union angle doesn't really get mentioned in the mainstream press. So you kind of have to get that from the horse's mouth. And of course, we're all members of the AFL-CIO because of our membership in the AFM. Our union is a part of that. So that's a tiny part of our dues goes up into the AFL-CIO and supports that organization that advocates for all working people. So yeah, did you see any coverage of that, Mark? Any?
No, actually, I'm not any more than what you just spoke about.
Yeah.
I did see a couple of articles expressing optimism about Biden and his attitude towards the workforce and workplace issues. So, I mean, that was,
Yeah.
optimistic, I thought, and we'll hope that really he does do some stuff to benefit workers in the workplace.
Yeah. Absolutely. And
I thought it was.
Go ahead.
No, I thought it was also interesting today about the news from Britain that they had decided that Uber drivers are employees.
Oh, I didn't hear that.
Yep.
Wow.
Yep. That they are no longer considered gig workers in Britain. They're employees and they get vacations and unemployment and all that kind of stuff. So
imagine that. And that's of course what they tried to do in California.
Right.
And they kind of went back and forth, and now they have this really weird thing there that's sort of like this halfway employment category. Like it's like halfway between an employee and a contractor. I'm not sure if that's going to be good for the American worker or not.
Yeah. Good luck figuring that out.
Yes. And of course, us musicians, that happened to us 40 years ago, and we're still trying to figure it out. And it's not a good thing. Even though a lot of times the employers will make, they'll throw the paperwork on you. You're like, oh, you're an employee now, so now you have to do all this extra paperwork, and try to make it seem like a bad thing because of that. And that does happen to us even now. When we have our gigs where we have to be an employee, it puts a lot more paperwork and complexity on it and makes it seem like it's not a good thing, but it really is a good thing in the long run, in the summation. But well, that's great news. I hadn't heard that. Did you hear that on TV news, or where'd you?
No, I read it on some news feed. I can't remember which one. First thing when I woke up this morning that Britain had decided that about Uber drivers. I don't know if that's going to carry over into other similar situations, but there's a lot of Uber drivers, so that's a big deal.
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah,
and that's it's become a very popular service.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. Yeah, we'll have to watch that story for sure. Yeah. So, but yeah, it's a lot of times the news about working people, about the labor movement, is not that easy to find always. And of course, when you don't have any power, it's really hard to find any news.
Yeah, then you don't get anything.
Yeah. Jeez. Oh my goodness. I do have a little bit of local news, local to this discussion. I believe it was last week we talked about our brother, the trumpet player, who was trying to get back on the TWC, and I just heard right before we went on the air that he got on today. He got back on, got his benefits back.
Great.
And is rolling again. So yes.
Back in Texas. He got his benefits in Texas.
That's right. Yeah. Even though he is still locaed out on the West Coast because he was touring, and that's where he landed when the pandemic hit, and he's still there. So, not to give out too much details, but we're happy for you, brother. And yes, so we all gotta survive this somehow, and sharing the resources and benefits is how we do it. So, what's going on? If you don't mind me asking, Mark, what's going on in your neighborhood? Is it Is it pretty
Uh,
well taken care
it's
of?
yeah. I mean, a lot of people in my neighborhood did not have power for most of 2 days. We didn't have power for 45 hours.
Wow.
So there were a lot of people in my neighborhood who had broken pipe issues. I had an outside faucet that broke, but I was lucky that I was able to turn my water off and get the fixture off and cap off the line and then turn my water on.
Wow.
There were some people in the neighborhood who were not so lucky,
Yeah.
who had minor floods or had to turn their water off and have not been able to get it turned back on yet because they're waiting for a plumber, and plumbers are backed up for at least days, if not weeks.
Absolutely.
So there's been a lot of neighborhood banding together, I guess you could say, for people who have been suffering. There was a family that got flooded out of their house, and people are stepping up, which has been gratifying to see that. And back when it was really icy and slippery, there were a few people with four-wheel drives who were helping to get people to places if they needed to go or pick up groceries or whatever supplies, RX.
Good. Good.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. The medications and stuff. Wow.
Yeah, yeah. So, like I say, I think most of my neighborhood now has power back on, but of course, we're still dealing with the water issues, and a lot of my neighbors don't have any water. We have a small trickle, and of course, you have to boil everything that you use. So,
Yeah.
it's still a dangerous situation for a lot of people.
Yeah. Well, man, it sounds like you really lucked out with that faucet. If you don't mind me asking, like how did you know that was happening? Like,
Well, I mean, it happened to thaw out. I guess it was Tuesday afternoon. No, yeah, I noticed that it was frozen on Monday, and then Tuesday afternoon it thawed out, and I went out there and it was just spritzing water out of the faucet. I had one of those three-way, ancient cast iron fixtures on there. So I borrowed a couple of plumber's wrenches from my neighbor, and he helped me, and we managed to get the fixture off. And then he just happened to have a 3/4 inch cap, so we put a cap on it and turned the water back on, and everything was fine.
oh,
Yeah. So now I'm just waiting for the other foot to drop. When the other pipes thaw out, and you find out whether any of those are broken or not.
yeah, yeah. But wow, that's a really lucky occurrence, man. Jeez. Yeah. I hope that's it. Hopefully we're through it.
Yeah. Well, I was also really lucky that I had a good-sized wood pile in my backyard.
Oh yeah.
Having grown up in Vermont, I know never to throw any wood away, and so I had a pretty good, pile of cordwood sitting out there, and
Right on.
that kept us cold, kept us warm when we had really frigid temperatures in the house for 2 days. So,
Well, and lucky that you had a fireplace or a stove
yeah,
to burn it in.
yeah,
I mean, not
we had a
everybody's got
fire,
that either.
had a
Yeah.
fireplace. Yeah, I know that was very fortunate.
Yeah. Right
Yeah,
on, brother. Yeah. Yeah. Like I said, we were burning kind of brushwood, like real
yeah,
thin wood that we had cut up and put back there. We didn't have like a really cordwood back there, but yeah, it was enough to keep a little blaze going and warm it up a little
sure.
bit, and
Yeah, yeah,
every little bit helped. Yeah. Oof. Yeah, our neighborhood's pretty good. It's thawing out. The roads seem pretty clear right now. With the sun's
yeah,
out. But the adjacent neighborhood next to mine doesn't have any water at all. The water's totally off. So we have had some folks come over, and we've been filling up, containers.
yeah,
From
jugs. Yeah, yeah,
yeah,
good.
and that's actually been a little bit surprising. That it seems like the flow, at least in our neighborhood, is starting to come back. It's actually increasing a little bit now
Hmm.
because it was down a lot yesterday. It was
Yeah,
really,
yeah.
really
Ours
slow.
was a trickle.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, but it seems to be coming back a little bit as we've been filling up these jugs for people. It's really starting to
yeah,
flow. So I hope that's a good sign, and hopefully
yeah.
we
Well,
can.
that'll mean it's still at least a couple of days till we don't have to boil water,
Yeah,
till
yeah,
they can get the plant up and running.
yeah. It's like pressurizing the whole system and getting
Yeah, yeah,
everything, all the holes patched up. So yeah. Whew.
yeah.
Wow. Yes, indeed. Well,
Yeah, so I did my normal TWC filing, and I think I mentioned this last time. Nothing happened.
hmm
I didn't get any emails. When I logged onto the TWC site, it didn't say anything about it. And finally, 8 days later, I got a payment or a notice that I was going to get a payment. And that's the longest I've ever waited. So I don't know if there's something going on with TWC or if they're retrofitting something and it slowed everything down. I couldn't really figure out why, but at least I did finally get the payment, but it really took a long time this time. So I don't
that's what I
know.
was going to ask. Can you confirm that the payment did go in?
Yeah, I
Oh,
did
okay.
finally. I got the payment on Wednesday, I think, but that
Okay.
was 10 days after my filing day.
Yeah.
And that's by far the longest that I've ever had to go. So
Yeah.
I
Usually it's
don't
the
know
next
why.
day. Yeah.
Yeah.
I wanted to mention to you about that. We did hear from a viewer, our brother Ernie. You know who I'm talking about. He
Hmm.
got in touch and said the same thing happened to him.
Yeah.
So
Well, I did when it happened, I waited, 4 or 5 days and then I shot an email to, I think I've given her name out before, Frances Brown, and she never responds, but somehow miraculously, I did get my payment 2 days after I sent her the email. So, Frances, if you're out there, thank you.
yeah, yes,
Yeah.
it seems to have some effect, I guess.
I maybe, yeah.
Unverified though, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Jeez. Well, thank you, Francis. There you
Yeah,
go.
that's right. Yeah.
Yeah. Geez. Wow. Yeah, I guess you're speaking of that. I guess we should mention that we were able to get our friend, the trumpet player that we talked about before. Um, he got help through the state senator's office, Senator
Oh, great,
Zaffarini's office again. So
great, great.
there's
Yeah.
another office that has really helped us out there. Her chief of staff and chief legal
Yeah.
representative has been great with getting that help there, getting that call from inside the TWC.
Hmm.
Which you have to pick up to get. That's hard too. But yeah, you can get help. The help's there, but it can be tough to find.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh my
Yeah. And
goodness.
I think a lot of people are waiting for a FEMA link too,
Yes.
all over Texas. I mean, I haven't been able to find one. I was hoping to have one, a reliable one to give out on the show here today, but I haven't found
Yeah.
one yet.
I
So,
haven't seen that either. Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. That's right. They have been saying on the announcements from the city and the state to save any receipts for repairs.
Right.
For in the case that there's a FEMA claim or a way to claim that or
Right.
something.
Right.
Because this was definitely a disaster. Wow. I mean, whew.
Yeah.
And
Still
still
going
is.
on. Still going
Still
on.
going on. Yeah. Some people still don't have power. Yeah. Some people, I know some folks in the northwest of Austin that had to abandon a car. They were trying to go down the hill to get some supplies and got stuck with some other cars. And,
Hmm.
all that stuff is going to have to get righted, and it's going to take several more days.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
yeah,
Bummer.
yeah, yeah. But that's all we can do is we keep supporting each other and keep sharing information and resources where you can. Of course, it's supposed to freeze again tonight, I believe. Is that right?
Yes, it is supposed to freeze tonight, and then hopefully we're done with the freezing for a while.
That's my
Yeah.
understanding. Yeah, I
Yeah.
think this is the last of it. But tonight is not going to be a good night for driving around either because all this melt is going to freeze and
Hmm.
yeah. So yeah, be careful getting around and yeah. All right. Well, I don't have anything any other topics to discuss. Did you have anything
Yeah.
else you wanted to mention, Mark?
Nope. Thank you.
Yeah. Awesome. All right. Well, this is kind of a short one, but that's all right. Important news, and if you are out there in the music business, stay in the music business. Don't give up. We can get through this with solidarity and kindness and understanding between each other, and we will get there. And we'll see you next week with these same topics and whatever the latest news is then. So we'll see you
Great.
then.
Yep. Thanks.
Thank you, Mark. Bye bye.
Yeah. Bye bye.